My name is Jordan Infield. I currently live in Williamsburg, Kentucky, and right now I'm in one of my favorite rooms of my house, and that's because I have most of my music equipment and most of my disc golf equipment in this room. And this map right behind me, if you're wondering, is the first 18-hole disc golf course that I got to design in London, Kentucky, which is about 30 minutes up the road from me. And so I love designing courses, but I also love playing disc golf as well. So without further ado, let's jump into what is in my bag, because that is what I am here for today. And before I even talk about the disc in my bag, I want to talk about the bag itself. This is the Pound Octo Haul. I want to put in a plug for them because I think they make the best bags on the market. They are absolutely the most comfortable bag I've ever put on my back. I've had it for a few years, and their warranty is a lifetime warranty, which is absolutely incredible. The storage is really great, has tons of room, and their customer service is phenomenal. So I highly suggest checking out Pound Disc Golf. I am in no way sponsored by them, but they are phenomenal. Let's start with my putting putters and just my putters in general. I love putting with the Discmania P2. Right now I have it in the P-line plastic because we're going into the spring and summer months. And I have this super old run of Eagle McMahon P2. I think this was the first run of Eagle McMahon P2s. And what I love about this run is that they're super flat. So they're not domey in my hand. They go really reliably straight with a little bit of fade at the end. And that's why I putt with the P2. And thank you, Wes Parrott, for hooking me up with this one. And I also have this other older one that I use as well. And then I have this super old, formerly a Psycho Stamp P2 that I've had for a few years that I use for my outside the circle putts, specifically when I'm set putting or jump putting. But as you can see, the stamp is wiped. But I love this one because it just goes a little bit straighter for me and has a little bit more glide. I'm going to move on to my throwing putters. I'm going to start with my most overstable throwing putter, and that is the Discraft Zone. I don't know whether to call this a putter or a mid-range, but we're going to call it a putter for today. This thing is super overstable for me. I love throwing it on forehand. I was a baseball player growing up, and in high school I pitched, so I love throwing forehands. And this one is the most reliable forehand putter mid-range disc that I've ever thrown because it always has that fade at the end, and the rim is shallow enough where you can get a good grip on it, and that is why I love the Discraft Zone. I also have two Innova Color Glow Champion Rhinos. I use these for forehand and backhand as well. This is not quite as overstable as my Zone, so it will fade out at the end, but when it fades out and hits the ground, it stops pretty quickly, and that's why I love the Rhino. I use pretty much all my putters for shots about 260 feet and in because I don't have a massive arm on backhand, but this is one of the few discs in my bag, I think maybe the only disc in my bag, that has a bead, but this plastic is so soft that I don't even notice the bead, and I love the Rhino. The last two putters in my bag are the Latitude 64 Pure, and I have it in the Opto and Opto X Chameleon plastic. These are the most straight flying discs that I've ever thrown, and that is exactly why I have them in the bag. I can put them on any line. I can throw them on forehand or on backhand really easy. I love that it's shallow rim and feels great in the hand, and I love that they fly super straight. Highly suggest testing this disc out. Any level of player I think should have a disc like this in the bag, but I'm a little bit biased toward this one. It's one of my favorite. So that is all the throwing putters I have in my bag. Now I do want to shout out one other throwing putter that I hope to put in the bag, and that is the Infinite Disc Cohort. Right now, at the time of making this video, it's only out in the R blend plastic. When that disc comes out in the S or C blend plastic, it's definitely going to replace one of these, probably either my understable Rhino or overstable Pure, because it has a little bit more stability than a Pure, and also a little bit more glide than a Rhino. So I'm really looking forward to filling that spot in my bag, and it's got a super flat top. So love the Cohort, want to mention it. Let's move on to my mid-ranges. I don't throw my mid-ranges nearly as often, but still an important disc to have in the bag. I'm going to start with my most overstable, and that is my Discmania MD4. if I can't get it there with my zone, I'm gonna pull out this disc right here. Again, it has a very similar feel to a zone, except it's a little bit bigger of a disc, and really the depth is very similar, and I can just get this a lot farther. I can probably get this close to 300 feet on a forehand, and on a backhand, because I'm not as powerful with a backhand, I can probably get these around 285-ish range. But I love the MD4. I got a glow one. Thank you, Wes Parrott, again for hooking me up with this one. And I got this Champ or C-Line MD4. This one's more understable for me. Next in stability would be my Discmania Color Glow MD3. This disc is not quite as stable as the MD4 as the number suggests, and it flies pretty straight on a backhand for me with a little bit of fade. I pretty much exclusively throw this backhand. Very similar feel to an MD4 though, which is what I love about this disc. And if there's a headwind, I love throwing this disc for dead straight shots. Next disc in my bag is my Infinite Disc Anubis. I've been looking for this disc for a super long time, and I'm so thankful that Infinite made this disc. It's not a super deep disc. It feels a lot like my MD3s, but it's a little bit more understable, and it goes dead straight. It's a lot like my Latitude 64 Pures, but in mid-range form, and it goes just a lot farther. So this disc is fantastic. I'm hoping to put another one of these in the bag. I'm hoping this one will replace my Prodigy M4. This is my most understable mid-range in the bag. This one's pretty beat up, so it goes straight and goes to the right for me at the end. And again, I use this exclusively on backhand as well. I'm excited about beating this disc in a little bit more to replace it, and this is in the iBlend plastic, so it's going to get there. And but in the meantime, this one's in the bag. M4 is also a great disc that people should check out. I'm going to move on to my fairway drivers. I have a lot of these, so I'm going to try to go through them pretty quickly. I'm going to start with my fastest fairway driver, and that is my Infinite Disc Concrete Slab. This is the most overstable thing you could ever have in your bag. Love using this for utility shots, super insane skip shots. My longest forehand roller disc because of how overstable it is, but this will never be my distance disc because on a backhand I could probably only get this thing 250 feet and it will skip massively. It's wild. And it's an amazing disc. You should check it out if you're feeling a little bit on the crazy side. Next disc in my bag is the Infinite Disc Aztec. I got it in the Metal Flake Color Glow C-Blend plastic. This is probably going to replace my Thunderbird in my bag. This is one of the farthest flying discs in my bag as well. It's only a 10 speed, but this thing has so much glide, and it has the perfect kind of stability for my arm speed that it will go straight, even turn maybe a little bit, and fade at the end. And I love that about this disc. And this one is in the iBlend plastic. It's a totally different disc in my opinion, a lot more understable. I love throwing this if I'm in a situation where I can't run up and I can only use my arm in low power situations on a backhand. That's why I have this one in my bag. Next disc is my DX Beast. This one I very rarely pull out, but if I do, it's probably going to be for a backhand roller. I'm not a great backhand roller player, but this one I feel like I can cheat with because I can throw it on a hyzer, it pop all the way up and roll, and that's why I have this one in the bag. Next disc in my bag is my Infinite Disc Scepter and my Innova Color Glow Chant Firebird. I put these together because as far as I can understand, this disc right here is the same mold as a flat top Firebird, which I forgot to mention earlier with the slab. That's another cool thing. I think from my understanding, this mold is the same as an Innova Max, which they've retired. They've retired the Innova Max, and so Infinite has that mold from my understanding. If not, it's very similar. It's a fantastic disc. But anyway, so this is very similar to a flat top Firebird, and that's why I love it. Flat top Firebirds are some of my favorite discs, and that's why I want the Scepter. It's the most overstable fairway driver in my bag besides the slab. It's very workable, very reliable. And then I have this Sexton Firebird, and yes, it's the 2015 run. No, I did not pay bukus of money. I just happened to buy it when it first came out. And this one I can pump on a forehand to probably about 325 feet, and that's why I love this disc. Always good to have a trusty Firebird in the bag. Next disc in my bag is, like I said earlier, my Innova Champ Thunderbird. This one is very similar to my Aztec. Probably plan on taking it out soon, but I've had this in the bag since 2016, so it's a Thunderbird. It'll go straight with a little bit of fade, probably get it out just a little bit over 300 feet. Good disc though. Next disc in my bag are T-Bird 3s. I got this more overstable one and this more understable one. I love using these on woods tunnel shots. The glide on this disc is a little bit lower, but the speed is a little bit higher, where I can really shape some lines with these discs, and that is exactly why I like them. Next disc in my bag is the Infinite Disc Centurion. It is also a beadless disc, which I like, and this is a little bit straighter than my T-Bird 3s. If you've never tried out this disc, I highly suggest it. It's probably right between a Leopard 3 and an FD. This one is in the Splatter S-Blend plastic. That's the plastic I suggest trying it out in. I love throwing this even on hyzer flip forehand shots as well. Infinite Disc Centurion. Next disc is my G-Star Leopard. I only throw this one on backhand, and it is basically only reserved for shots where a forehand's just not the best line and a backhand and hyzer is. I started out throwing a Leopard when I started playing disc golf, and I'm glad that I still have this disc in my bag, and it's very reliable for me, very easy to maneuver, and yeah, I basically only use it for distance kind of and hyzer shots. I'm going to move on to my last mold, which is the distance drivers. I'm going to start with my fastest distance driver, which is my Infinite Disc Pharaoh. I use this for something that needs to go far but have a reliable fade at the end, and I basically exclusively use this on backhand because it's got some dome, and I don't really love flicking domey disc, but this on a backhand is a great disc. This is in the Metal Flake Color Glow C-Blend plastic, and yeah, love the Pharaoh. Next mold in my bag is the Innova Champ X-Cal. This thing is a beast in overstability. Shout out to Pluto Sports for hooking me up with this one. This one is especially flat, which can be kind of hard to find in an X-Cal. But when I need some distance and reliability, this is the disc that I go to. I love especially using this one pretty much only for forehands because I can put a ton of torque into it and get some reliable distance. It goes farther than my Firebirds. The next disc in my bag are my Destroyers. I love the Destroyer mold. I know a lot of people throw them, but they throw them for good reason. These are basically all Avery Jenkins era Destroyers. This one is an Avery Jenkins one, but I love the Avery Jenkins era Destroyers because the Star plastic is just super grippy, and that's what I love about it. This is my most overstable one, and I mostly use this for forehands, and these are my more understable ones. These two are very similar in stability. Shout out to Casey Roberts for hooking me up with this one, and Chip Bryan for hooking me up with this Knoxville Open one. These are great discs, and I use these on both backhand and forehand for my max distance forehand shots. My last Destroyer in the bag is a Champion Destroyer. This is my max distance backhand disc. Shout out to Josh Merida for this. I originally had this disc, and I gave it to Josh because I didn't think I was going to use it. And Josh has a knack for beating up disc really well because he has tons of spin and arm speed. And this is my farthest flying backhand disc. Super understable, probably flies a little bit more like a DDX or a super overstable Innova Turn. Love this one and very thankful to have it in the bag. The last thing I want to do is show you some unique things that I have in and around this bag. And the first one is I have a rangefinder. Don't knock this thing till you try it. I play at a lot of courses where the tee signs aren't very accurate, or there aren't tee signs at all, or maybe I'm on a par 4 or par 5 and can't tell how far I'm out, and that's what I pulled this thing out for. Really cool thing to have, and also PDGA legal, so that's always a great thing. Another unique thing I'd love to show you is this Infinite Disc Knee Pad Mini. This thing is phenomenal. If you putt from the knee, I think everyone should get this. This has saved my knees so many times because there's so many times where I'm needing to get under some branches to putt, and this thing is phenomenal. Again, PDGA legal, so really great thing to have in the bag. Next thing I want to show you is my Infinite Disc waffle towel. This has been my favorite towel to have because it dries extremely fast. It gets the dirt out. As you can see, this one's pretty dirty, but the price of these is extremely affordable as well. So I love the waffle towel. And the other thing that's kind of unique in my bag is I carry a Hydro Pack, and that's another thing I love about Pound disc golf bags is they have a sleeve for them, which makes my pack that much lighter because I don't have a big Nalgene in my bag. It doesn't take up as much weight, and it's able to hydrate me well. Thank you for taking the time to watch my In the Bag, and I want to give a big thanks to Infinite Disc for all the support. Appreciate it.